This is going to be a little bit longer of a video. I have a lot to say on this topic. I've been a Halo fan for a long time. And before I even start this, I want everyone to remember that this is all opinion based. This is just my feelings on the game. And in my current state, I've only put about 20 hours into the game. I'm going to continue putting more time in no matter how I feel right now because I want to get a solid opinion on it. So this will be my first critiques, and I will give another set of critiques down the line once I've put far more time into the game and I can solidify my feelings on it. So, if you enjoy the game, great for you. But I personally, I don't dislike it, but it feels kind of bland to me. It feels kind of meh. I don't get a ton of enjoyment. If you want to angrily dislike because of that, because I'm hating on your favorite game or whatever, go ahead. But um, I do ask, at least listen to my opinion. If not, just leave your dislike, whatever, go away. And I do think that 15 to 20 hours is definitely enough time to give an opinion on the game, at least a base opinion. So I think the first thing I'll talk about here is the maps, because I think those are a big part of what makes Halo interesting. If you look back at Halo 2, Halo 3, they have very interesting maps that take place in space and hotel rooms and things, and this is something that can obviously change over time. They can obviously fix the dislike that I have here, and maybe a lot of people love the maps, but I typically think, looking at these maps, a lot of them are very closed, very small maps that are very boring, very symmetrical, and just overall very small, and it almost feels like I'm playing on a COD map more so than I'm playing on a Halo map. There's just nothing really interesting going on the maps. They're very bland. There's not much depth to them. There's not a ton going on the maps. Given I'm mainly talking about the smaller maps, even the big team battle maps I feel are very bland and small comparative to older Halos. And like I said, this is something they can definitely fix and they can definitely change in the future. But as of right now, I feel as though the maps don't have don't have that much depth. They aren't very interesting, and there's not much to do in them. There's not much outplay potential. There's not many weird angles and elevators and things like the old ones that you could use to mess with people and play a lot. This next one is obviously just my opinion, but I don't believe that the sprint and slide really belongs in the game. Halo's always been very intentional with the movement mechanics. The reason you never had a run was because you needed to be very intentional with how you moved. You didn't, if you peaked an angle, you were committing to that peak. And I feel as though adding a sprint and a slide to the game takes away from that intentionality. You slide out of an angle and things and get away easier than in previous Halo games, and I feel as though it ruins a lot of that fun. It even if, and I think a great example of this, even if it's just a small speed boost, because I know it's 9 to 10% speed boost, I think max 15% if I remember correctly, but the speed boost, even if small, in a perfect example of this is when I was playing Capture the Flag earlier. As the flag bearer, it's extremely difficult to carry the flag with only one or two people. And obviously, it's a team-based mode, but the issue is the fact that someone can sprint up behind you and catch up to you. And that wasn't really possible in older Halos because, you both move at the same speed. And so part of the difficulty of Capture the Flag is, how do you stop someone once they have your flag? You need to be smart about your placement of people. And if they get your flag, it's very easy for them typically to get it back to their base if they don't get mowed down by shots, right? You have to hit your shots. You have to be intentional with how you place your people around the map. And you have to play intelligently. And I feel as though sprinting takes away from modes like Capture the Flag and Oddball by allowing you to catch up extremely easily to these people who are carrying the flag, carrying the oddball, and I think it takes away specifically from those experiences. Obviously, it doesn't take away from something like Slayer as much so, but oddball, Capture the Flag, I feel as though it very much takes away the fact that someone can sprint up to you very quickly, and I dislike that feeling of, I don't have the speed to get away. The grenades, and this is sort of a small point that I think ripples out to the rest of the gameplay, and it's something that I think a lot of people do like, but I personally dislike, I guess, is the grenades are kind of like rubber balls. You chuck them and they just bounce like crazy. Like, they bounce once, obviously, but the fact that they bounce the way they do feels very strange. It feels like they're very spammable. You just chuck them at a wall into a room when someone's in there, and there's not much you can do to counterplay that. Before, you'd throw a grenade, it'd grind to a halt on the ground, and so you'd have to throw it where you want it to go, and it'd blow up, but now you can just chuck it around a corner, have it ricochet into that corner and blow up a person randomly in there who's trying to get away or whatever. It's a very easy way to get away with finishing someone off or something, and I feel as though it overall makes the experience more brain dead, and it makes it less intentional how you use a lot of your items, right? The fact that grenades just bounce around makes it really easy to just chuck it through a doorway at random, or just run away and chuck it up at a roof while someone's chasing after you, something like that. And especially plasma grenades. I don't know why plasma grenades don't just stick to whatever they hit. For some reason, plasma grenades will bounce off walls and stuff. Um, Plasma grenades, I feel like, should just stick onto things. That's kind of what they do. That's what they were called. They were called stickies for. Um, and I find it frustrating that even those kind of bounce a little bit. And obviously that's just a me thing, but I feel as though it's bad. And it's very... It can be used for a lot of outplays, but it overall, I think, takes away from the thought, the use of brain playing the game. Because people just chuck it around corners or chuck it behind them or whatever, and that's... There's not much you can do to outplay it. And this is moving on to my fourth point that I think is very controversial, but this was from my experience because I tried out the controller because I was surprised by some of the shots people were hitting on me. But the aim assist, I think, is really unfair. It's extremely strong. It follows people really well. Strafing doesn't do much, and even if you do fall off of someone with your scope while strafing, once you've hit your shots, you just flick your stick a little bit to the side that they're going, and it'll immediately just kind of snap onto them, and it makes it very annoying and frustrating for a PC player. You know, like, one of the advantages to PC typically is the fact that I have good movement as a PC player, as a keyboard and mouse player. And it takes away I feel as though it takes away from the competitive integrity of the game when in tournaments and things you have keyboard and mouse players getting absolutely destroyed by aim assist. And there's just no point of having good movement and strafing if the aim assist is going to be as strong as it is. I can say I appreciate the fact that there are separate queues for at least solo and duos for keyboard and mouse and controller. I'm not sure why squad play doesn't have that separate queue, but at least for solo slash... I guess squads are too much of a hassle, but solo and duo queue, I'm at least happy that there is a separate queue for keyboard and mouse players from controller players. Fifth, and I think this is a really big deal, and this is one of the big things that frustrates me a lot as someone who loves customizing my Spartan and making my Spartan my own in Halo, is that, you know, when Halo reached, there were hundreds of customizations, and I'm aware you had to pay $60, and this is a free-to-play experience, multiplayer experience, but when I look at a skin that it's for a specific armor core, quote-unquote, which means I can only use it with a specific armor set, and then you're also only giving me pieces of armor. You're not even giving me a full armor set with a $20 purchase, which I've seen. And you're giving me, you're doing $10 purchases for a specific color for a specific armor, right? They release these esports skins for the Halo Championship Series for these new, for like Cloud9 and things like that, and G2 and those people. But I mean, the $10 skin pack is a color for one Spartan, or one core, which is like what they call the armor sets, basically. And then one skin just for the battle rifle. They didn't even put in the effort to put it on other guns. You don't get multiple skins for multiple guns, and an emblem for $10. And I hate that people are buying this because you're encouraging this really scummy microtransaction store that's extremely overpriced for what it is. I mean, it's $9 for colors, just for colors. And the game only comes with 11 colors. I went back to Halo 1 and looked at it. There's 18 colors in Halo 1 available. That's all the way back on original Xbox, and there's only 22 colors in Halo Infinite right now, 11 of which are free, and all 11 of the rest are paid, which is absolutely ridiculous to me. Only 11 colors that you're going to give me for free, and then you're going to charge me $9 if I want to color my Warthog green, and I want to unlock a green and white skin, and at that point, even, I'm buying colors that I can't even personally customize. Like, it goes on my armor, but it goes in specific spots that are pre-done. I can't even customize it, and you expect me to pay for that? I can't even make my Spartan my own. Why would I pay for it? Let alone, why would I pay $20 or $9 even for that? It's absolutely ridiculous. And then they're selling emblem packs of just emblems to put on your guns and put on display for $9 too. Which is like, wow, that's something that in any other game would be maybe $1, maybe. It's a very simple thing to make, very easy, and you don't even have the because they want to make money off of this, they took away the ability completely to create your own emblems, which I understand, NSFW on the internet, people do stupid things like penises all the time, but still, taking away completely the custom emblem creation is very frustrating, and it's very obviously a move, in my eyes at least, it's very obviously a move to just make more money from you, instead of letting you customize your Spartan in the way you want. They could have just let you make your own emblems and left that alone at least. They're already making money on Spartan colors, they're already making money on that. You can't even decide where you're gonna place your emblem on your guns or your Spartan. It's just automatically up here on the left breast here. And on your guns it's in a very specific spot. You can't even move it around, and you're expecting me to pay money for that on top of it. How are you gonna expect me to pay money when I can't even customize where I'm going to place it, and you only give me a limited color palette even to use with the thing? It's absolutely ridiculous. Um, Moving on to my sixth point, and maybe this will change with time, but I feel as though all the abilities in guns work exactly how they should, which normally is something you'd think of as a compliment, but I'm going to dig a little into this. Um, and I think it's bad because of the fact that let's say the repulsor, right? The repulsor it can deflect some grenades and stuff, but other than that, it repulses. It does what it says. There's not much depth to using it. There's not a ton you can do simply because partially because the maps are very simple, and this was partially a map design thing that once again I could see them changing in the future, and you can reflect grenades and rockets, but there's not much depth to that, right? The zip line, the grapple hook just grapples, right? You grapple with it, and you can grab stuff with it. There's not a ton you can do with it. You can grab people and stuff, and it's pretty standard to what game industry does, and I think it's very boring because Halo has that capability to do very interesting things like armor lock, right? You see in Halo Reach, where, you armor lock and you can use that to hold a point. You can use that to slam down on people and kill them. You can use it to destroy vehicles. You can use it when someone's running towards you with a vehicle to stop them and like flip their vehicle over and stuff. And there's a ton of just really cool stuff you could do with something like armor lock, and the jetpack. You can move around the map really rapidly and do some interesting things with that, right? But they were very basic abilities on their own, but you could use to do a lot of very interesting things within their limitations. Um, in the weapons, I feel as though are very bland. I don't know why they got rid of the carbine and replaced it with the pulse carbine. It's strange to me. The AR and the AR feels, and the weapon balance is a little weird too. This is something I know they can fix also, but the weapon balance to me feels very off on this point. The AR, the base AR you get feels extremely weak compared to other weapons, and almost borderline unusable in casual at least, whereas the Magnum is like a 7-shot weapon, and the TTK on it is significantly faster. Um, the battle rifle feels very inconsistent, which was in Halo 2, but also in a game like Halo Infinite, where in a game like Halo, it's very difficult to do because, in a competitive mode where everyone has the battle rifle and someone just happens to hit more shots because they get lucky with Bloom, it's very frustrating to lose a fight to that when you are aiming directly at someone and your shots just aren't going there. Um, the Commando feels extremely strong comparative to other weapons. And then something like the heat wave feels very niche and just not very usable in a lot of situations. And yeah, it can do a lot of damage and it can bounce around and stuff, but that's just such a niche ability that isn't super usable. It's more like an item when I've used it that I just, shoot at a wall or something to hit someone, or hit someone with it once or twice to do a good amount of damage and then swap to another weapon. The Needler is obviously the Needler. It's pretty balanced, honestly. It's a full clip to kill someone, which I think is pretty fair for an auto aim weapon, basically. The shotgun feels, for a Halo game, I think the shotgun feels really weak, but I can kind of understand why they nerfed it with the close quarters designs of the map. But I think that's something that can be solved. But I don't love that the shotgun, they got rid of that sort of Halo feeling shotgun and replaced it with a drum shotgun that shoots a lot faster, more like the EVA 8 and Apex. Um, but I just feel like you lose a lot of that cool spaceman, I feel as though you lose a lot of the cool I'm a space soldier vibes in this game. There's no maps that take place in space. There's no maps that are in big, interesting hotels from the campaign and things. and maybe they'll add those as the campaign comes out and release them, and they just don't want to spoil campaign maps or something, but I just feel as though the map design is very bland, the guns are very bland. There's not as many alien guns as in most of the Halo games. Most of them feel very militaristic and human-made. And it doesn't give me that feeling of being a cool space soldier like the other Halos do, and there's no really cool rocket jumps, there's no cool dual-wielding mechanics that make me feel awesome. Um, and it just feels as though the game is pretty surface level in a lot of ways. And obviously, there's the depth of, how do you play the maps and how do you play the flag, but in terms of the abilities and guns themselves, it feels though there's not much to dig into and pull from each of them. I feel as though the gun with the most depth really is the Disruptor, and the most depth that has is you shoot 3 to 6 shots at someone and it does damage over time. If you hit 3 shots and then 6, it'll do enough damage over time to kill them, and then if they run into their team, it shocks their whole team. But even that, when you've got hit by the Disruptor, there's counterplay to it to some extent. But I don't know, that feels as though it's like the item with the most depth sort of in the game in terms of what you can do with it, and what capability it has. In terms of weapons, Repulsor's probably the most depth ability in that one. That one is just because you can knock people off of cliffs and reflect bullets and reflect rockets and grenades and things. Um, and then I'm gonna kind of go through some various things that I think are very easy to fix and kind of are nitpicky, but they're things that frustrate me and make me enjoy the game a lot less because I lose fights to them and things like competitive when it really matters. So the characters have no collision boxes with each other, so I can melee someone and just go straight through them after I melee them, and now they're behind me, and it's a lot easier for them to just melee me in the back than it is for me to turn all the way around by the time they're doing it, because they can just instantly melee while they're above me or something, and I'm dead. There's very few game modes in the game right now. There's only Capture the Flag, Oddball, Slayer, Big Team Battle, if I'm correct. Those are the only modes currently in the game. There might be one that I'm missing there, but that's it. There's not even Forge, and I understand it's a beta, but they are 3 weeks out from launch, and if this is all they have 3 weeks out from launch, this game is lacking a lot for a AAA title, especially a Halo game, and Forge is one of the very basic Halo games. If Halo, like, things that is required in Halo, it's something that people love to play in Halo. And it just has very few options right now aside from just playing ranked and then quick play. You don't even get to select the mode that you want to play. It just queues you into a random one, and there's no option to queue into a specific one. There's no infection, none of that, and it just feels very bland. And moving on from that, I guess, because that's what I had to say on that, the ranked mode, everything I'm hearing and everything I've played, the ranked mode feels very janky, and I know this is something that a lot of games struggle to perfect, but everything I'm seeing from people online is saying worse players are getting placed higher than better players, and I played with I played with a group of people that they were doing worse than me. I was getting more points, I was getting more kills, I was holding objective better, and I was placed lower than them in my ranking, which was really strange to me. Um, and like I've played games. I'm in high plat. I'm in plat 5 currently, almost plat 6, and I consistently have gotten in games where it's getting better now because people are starting to sort themselves out as they lose and win. But I've played with players that get maybe 1-2 kills a game and have absolutely no idea how to play objectives. They have no idea how to even play the game. They have no idea how to even hit shots, basically. And I've played with those kind of people, which is kind of crazy to me, and obviously that sorts itself out a little, because as bad players lose, they go down the ladder, but it's very frustrating as someone who's in, plat, almost diamond, which is supposed to be the second highest rank before Onyx, to end up with players who should be in gold or silver, and it seems as though to me no one's gotten placed below plat or diamond. And this next thing is more of a nitpick. The sliding feels as though I'm really heavy, right? I grind on the ground and I across the ground sliding, but then I jump and I sort of feel like I'm just floaty. It feels like I'm a balloon, essentially, which Halo Jump has always felt floaty, yes, but it's always felt as though I had weight and momentum pulling me the direction I jumped, and I had committed to that direction, but now it just feels like I'm floating over there, more like Destiny, like a warlock. But those are sort of my opinions. I don't think the game is objectively bad. I don't think the game is fundamentally awful. I think the game has a lot there. I just think my struggle right now is I'm not enjoying it as much because there's just not much that I feel as though is Halo in there. There's not many modes to just have fun with. It's mostly competitive modes where people are really sweaty and things, and there's just not much fun to be had there. I feel as though the big team battle maps just aren't that crazy cool or anything. Um, I think that the game has a long way to go. It could be very good. It has the possibility to be very good. My main thought process is honestly it's super close to being a great Halo game, and I think 343 overall has done a pretty good job. They really need to add Forge, they really need to add more game modes in. They need to add bigger maps, I think, and more interesting maps that have more going on. I mean, this is a newer game and the older maps have more going on in them, which is crazy to me. Um, I think they need to add more weapon variety. Right now, there's less weapons in this game than a lot of the other Halos, which makes sense to some extent for weapon balancing. But I do think there should be some more weapons in the game, you know. And I think that, things like weapon drop should be more consistent because right now it's randomized each game where weapons are going to be, sort of. So, like, one game the heat wave could be in a certain spot, but then the next game the shotgun's there, and then the next game the pistol's there, type of thing. Um, and that feels very weird to me, but I honestly think that the game currently is just in a weird spot, and they need to add a lot to it before it becomes a good game. But I definitely think it's getting there. I just think that they need to add some new abilities that are more interesting. I think they need to make me feel more like a space soldier, because that's what I am. I need to feel stronger. I think they need to change the gun balance, like I said, because some guns just feel like I'm shooting a BB gun, and some guns feel like they're just ridiculous. Um, and obviously, power weapons are a whole different conversation. I don't think the power weapons are overpowered like the Cinder Shot and the Rocket Launcher. Those are obviously meant to be broken. But it just feels like something like the ARs hit like a BB gun, but then the pistol hits insanely hard like a truck. But yeah, that's my sort of take on Halo Infinite right now. I think it's half baked at the moment, and it needs more time. I definitely think they should have pushed the game back more, given that's really hard to do. I know as a company, but I will release another review when I have 50 to 100 hours probably in the game, and I will continue playing it. I'm gonna try and hit Onyx rank. We'll see how that goes. Um, I don't know if I'll play it on stream much because I get really bad ping when I'm streaming on it. Um, we'll see about that though. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in talking with me about this and you disagree with me or agree with me on anything and you want to talk to me about it, I do stream on Twitch Tuesday through Thursday, 2:30 to 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. I play a variety of games. I've been playing a lot of Apex lately, Halo Infinite, stuff like that. But yeah, if you're interested in chatting with me, hanging out, check out my Twitch. Hope you all have a freaking tastic night. Thank you so much for hanging out through one of my longer videos. And this is your boy Yays. Peace out. I'll see you guys in the next video.